Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and early, 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, I want to talk about something a little different today. I want to talk about this just happened 7-8 hours ago. The UFC fight number 264 in Las Vegas, Nevada, Saturday night, and Donald Trump's appearance there. Yes, and Donald Trump right in the front row, of course, because Donald Trump knows good seats. Donald Trump knows the best seats in the house. Of course, he was right down in front. All right, now here's the interesting part. So I'm going through my news feed. You guys know my routine. I come across the first story. Donald Trump booed at fight number 264, Las Vegas, Nevada. So I read the article. And all these articles the links will be down below. And I watched the video myself. And I don't know. So I continue looking through other news stories. I come across another story on the UFC fight number 264. This one says Donald Trump cheered at UFC fight number 264. So I go to the video. It's the same exact video. 4 or 5 more times. All the links will be down below. 4 or 5 different news, maybe 6 different news outlets. All links all down below. About 3 of them say Donald Trump cheered at fight. 3 of them say Donald Trump booed at fight. Same video in every story. All right, let me tell you what I think about this. I watched the video myself, and to be honest with you guys, I think there was more cheering. I think there was more cheering than anything, and I'm going to explain. This does not surprise me in the least, and I'm going to explain why. Look, I don't want to stereotype in this video, and I know, I'm sure there's a lot of good people out there that watch the UFC fights. And, liberal, Democrat. And you don't have to be a liberal or Democrat or progressive to be a good person. I'm sure there's a lot of decent people out there that watch UFC fights. But I'm willing to bet the preponderance of people at that fight were Trump supporters. I'm going to explain why. I'm not a big fan of the UFC at all. It has nothing to do with the violence or the bloodshed. Let me see if I can explain this. You guys, if you watch my channel for any length of time, you know the life I led for over 2 decades, a life of hard drugs. I started out at 19 or 20 years old, being the youngest person in my architectural firm. I went to school for architectural drafting. I was hired immediately by a big firm. Started messing around, taking trips down to New York, got a connection, and my life went to hell. I've probably been in over at least 80 street fights in my life, and something I am not proud of, and I'll explain exactly why. By the end of this video, I'm going to tell you about one of the fights I was in, and to show you guys that this isn't about bragging. I'm going to tell you about one of the times I got my butt beat bad. All right. So anyway, I don't like watching these fights. Let me just tell you right off the bat. To me, they come across as catering to people who have macho complexes. The steel cage, the whole wind up to the whole thing. This is why it doesn't surprise me. I'm willing to bet that the preponderance of people at that fight were easily Trump supporters. People like Donald Trump Jr. with a big mouth, never got in a fight in his life. And I think a lot of these guys, like, for their friends, their girlfriends, they want a macho image. Look, I can protect you, honey. I'm a tough street fighting kind of guy. I love UFC. I love to mix it up. I got your back. I got your 6, as Trump supporters love to say. There's another example right there of Trump supporters using lingo that a lot of them probably have no idea about, are familiar with, but in an effort to sound cool. And look, I'm sure there's a lot of people like me that do the same thing. But I really bet that the preponderance of people at this fight were Trump supporters. Like Donald Jr. comes to mind. A big mouth that probably couldn't fight himself out of a wet paper bag. Now, let me tell you why I don't like these. These fights do not appeal to me. Like, I've put pictures on my community page. My father taught me boxing. He died when I was 9, but he taught me boxing. I have pictures of him teaching me boxing. He bought me these little boxing gloves when I was 4 or 5 years old. I enjoy watching boxing. I love watching boxing. To me, the technique, I've heard people compare it to ballet, the movement, the speed, the impact, the difference between length versus punch, like somebody like Tyson or Sugar Ray Leonard. Tyson with just the pure power, as Sugar Ray Leonard, the movement. Muhammad Ali, a mixture of both. I love boxing. It takes so much skill and the technique, and it takes a amount of control. I don't see a whole lot of any of that, really. This is my opinion, and I could be right, could be wrong. I've been wrong many times before. I could be full of it. But this is my opinion. And there's another reason I don't watch this, because I've been in multiple street fights in my life. Whenever I tune this in, there was a period in my life when I first got clean around 2006, 2007, when I started watching it. I didn't quite know who I was yet. I was clean for the first time in my life, first time in decades. And I remember posting, I wasn't even going to tell you guys about this. I had made my mind not to tell you guys about this because I didn't know how it would make me look, but I can't keep anything back. I posted something about watching the UFC fight because I thought it would make me look cool. I thought it was, something cool to do. Maybe it would attract chicks or something. I remember doing this back in 2007 or 2008. Like I said, I didn't, at that point in my life, I was just getting clean, and I don't think I really knew who I was as a clean human being yet. But anyway, I think it attracts a lot of people like this. When I've tuned these in before, like with the steel cage and the personalities, it's not wrestling to me. Wrestling is more of a show, fake. But to me, it's almost a mixture. To me, it really caters to people who have a macho complex, who have something to prove. People that probably haven't been in a whole lot of fights in their life, trying to look cool. That's my opinion here, and that's Trump supporters. Look, take for instance Proud Boys. First of all, a real man would never feel the need to call himself proud or a boy. I could see this place filled with people like that. When I watch these fights, it's almost like a trigger for me. Like there's movies, the movie Traffic, several movies dealing with cocaine and cocaine trafficking and stuff like that I can't watch. I'll start getting an adrenaline rush. I'll see somebody, use, and I'll actually, for one little split second, I'll taste it in my mouth. I'll get a rush. It's, and this is just me personally, but it's dangerous for me to watch. It could be a trigger for me. It's the same thing with UFC boxing. The blood, the violence takes me back to mixing it up. Even though this is more of a show, just like watching the movie is an actual drug use, but it's still a trigger for me. Watching this UFC fight, which I consider, it's a real fight, but it's a lot of a show. And it's still the blood and everything, and the impact. It takes me back to fights I've been in. And for the rest of the day, it affects me. I feel a negative aura around me. I'm a lot more likely to not smile and say, excuse me, or, move out of somebody, go in front of me. I don't mind, or get in an altercation on the road or something like that. To me, it gives me a bad feeling. It takes me back to, it gives me the feelings that I had back. It's very similar to using drugs. This reminded me of something else too. When I got arrested, a couple times, 2 or 3 times, I remember being in the police station in the lockup, and I was probably high at the time, and I remember talking to the police, and I remember comparing what was going on during my arrest to something I saw on NYPD Blue or Cops or something like that. This happened twice. 2 different times I opened my big mouth, and both times the cops looked at me, and they were kind of angry. And they said they said flat out, they don't watch that crap. And they were serious. Like they don't, these are experiences, maybe you guys experience something else, but the police that I've talked to don't usually they told me they don't watch Cops or other police shows, maybe for the same reason. They experienced this in real life. They've experienced this, and in their off, they don't want to go back there. They don't. This isn't a leisure activity for them. Watching it again on TV, reliving what they have to deal with or what they've had to deal with in the past. And the same thing I've got 2 or 3 friends that were in the Army in Afghanistan and Iraq, and they don't watch Army movies. Now, again, this is my own personal experience. You guys might have friends or personal experience, or you might have been in Iraq or Afghanistan yourself, and you love your Army movies. But my personal experience is people that have been in that experience, like the violence and everything, it's the same thing. It's like a trigger. It brings back those negative, I wouldn't call it PTSD by any means, because it's not a fear thing. It almost amps me up, and it gives me a bad feeling. Boxing doesn't do that. Boxing, I watch it and I get into it, and it's more of a contest to me, a good long bout, and just watching one boxer go in fast and tire out. And I love I've got a very long reach, so I'm always rooting for the boxer with the reach. But these are some of the reasons that I don't watch it. Now, comparing it to real life, I like I just said, I think there's a lot of people that watch this that think, it makes them look cool or macho. I've been in more street fights and altercations that it's embarrassing to me. It is, because to me now it's a loss of control. And as a recovering drug addict, a loss of control is something very bad. Losing control is what got me into the whole situation in the first place, not being able to control myself. So a loss of control is a very bad thing for me. I'm going to have a clip from this fight. I believe the fighter's name is Mike Perello. They're fighting, right? Watch the clip down below. He does a backflip and lands on his opponent. Okay? That's not something you'd see in a street fight. Believe me. In a street fight, they're not in a cage. You're not, by no means is there any weight classes. I have been in situations where I fought 3, 4. I've been in a situation where I ran out, after getting my nose broke in a roller skating complex, I ran out into a half circle of 7 guys who just then proceeded to pound the bejesus out of me and broke the bones underneath my face and my nose. And I went down swinging, but a real street fight does not look like a UFC fight. I'm sure a lot of people who have never experienced it, who think it's a macho thing, think it is, but it's not even close. In real life, you're not, I could go up against a 360-pound guy, and you don't have the option of saying, well, you're out of my weight class. Or you get surrounded by 4 or 5 guys. There's no rules. And in a street fight, you can't tap out or anything like that. Losing a lot of times meant losing your life. And when I was in these fights, we're talking about the worst sections of cities: South Bronx, Bridgeport, Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut, Boston, Mass, Springfield, Mass, New Jersey, Orange, New Jersey. I remember getting in a fight. There's a good chance if you lose, you lose everything. You can't tap out. So this is why I don't watch this. And I don't glorify it. I don't want to go back to that. It's something that I experienced. It made me who I am today, but I do not want to relive it. I am not proud of anything I did. I've told you guys this in other videos. I felt worse when I won fights than when I lost. I swear to God. Because hurting somebody just wasn't, seeing somebody's head snap back. Like I said, I never felt like on TV they go, ow. I never felt that. My hand would be numb, and I would just know I'd see their head snap back, and that's the only way I knew there was an impact. And seeing somebody crumpled on the ground didn't make me feel better. And to be honest with you guys, every time I want to fight, for the rest of my life, I always wonder if that guy is going to come up behind me. So the more fights you win, the more you're thinking, am I going to run into this guy or these guys? I could be in a mall shopping with my mom or a girlfriend and I run into this guy and his buddies, they see me, I don't see them. This still haunts me to this day. You know, this is the reality of street fights. It haunts you. You know, hurting somebody doesn't feel as good as you think it does. It really doesn't. Whereas losing a fight, it made me feel like I gave it my all. I went down swinging. You know, and there was something really maybe I'm a masochist, but there was something really gratifying in that. So to close this up, you know, I'm not trying to stereotype here, but I'm willing to bet that the preponderance of people in that audience were probably very similar to Donald Trump. People that are just angry at the world. They're angry at their life. They feel entitled. They're not getting everything they deserved. I've told you guys before, comparing yourself to other people is a sure way to live a life of unhappiness. One thing I've learned in the last 14 years is every day I want to be better than I was yesterday. And that brings me nothing but satisfaction and joy and happiness. When you compare yourself to other people, you're never going to be happy. And I see that, like that letter to the editor I read a couple days ago. A lot of Trump supporters. Like I said, I don't want to say all. I don't want to stereotype here. But so to round this up, I'd say that fight, I'm willing to bet that they did cheer Donald Trump. I'm willing to bet that there was more Trump supporters in that audience that probably did cheer for Donald Trump. And that does not surprise me one bit. Nor does it seem like a big win for MAGA land or anything like that. Because I would fully expect that arena to be full of more Trump supporters than other people, than rational people. All right, you guys have a good Sunday. I'll be back later with another video.